Hi everyone, Materim here again with another battle report. Now this is not a narrative battle report, but it still was a pretty special one. My wife actually came out of her semi-retirement stage since she got pregnant with our second child to join us in just kind of a silly night that I'd like to call the What the F Were You Thinking night. We all got together and made lists specifically to utilize suboptimal options, kind of crazy ideas. And the idea is just to throw it on the board and see what happens. I am meeting her with my ogre kingdoms that I designed to have the least number of ogre bodies that I could fit in with the models that I own. My wife is playing Orcs and Goblins in kind of a what if the normal goblins actually took over the Orc and Goblin tribes. So she's using, with one exception, nothing but Goblin characters, and her general's leadership is only 7 because of that. Definitely kind of a strange set of lists. And we'll just kind of have to throw it on the board and see what happens. So we'll go ahead and get started with the Goblin deployment after Vanguard. So on the left here we have a Mangler Squig in the back. The unit that's vanguarded up front is a unit of 9 Goblin Wolf Riders, and they have in them Gatilla de Hunta, which makes them a little better at shooting, but he's just a special character, so not too much extra there. Then there's a 20-man unit of normal goblins with spears. They have full command and 3 nasty skulks hidden in there. Behind that is a unit of squig herd with 12 squigs and 4 herders. Next to the goblins is a 20-man unit of night goblins with nets, short bows, and 3 fanatics. She has her night goblin big boss with no gear on him, who's her battle standard bearer, and a level 2 Night Goblin Shaman with the Sword of Anti-Heroes and the Channeling Staff. Oh, and the Iron Curse icon. Behind them is a 30-man horde of Savage Orc Biggins, with a level 2 Savage Orc Shaman with the Lucky Shrunken Head. In front of them is a unit of 5 Squig Hoppers, and her general, who is a Night Goblin Warboss on a giant cave squig, with the Fencer's Blades, the Armor of Destiny, and a Trickster's Shard. Then we have another 20-man unit of Night Goblins with 3 Fanatics full command, and a level 2 Shaman with the Earthing Rod and the Terrifying Mask of Eee in with them. Behind that is the Goblin Doom Diver. Next to that is a 2-man unit of Trolls. Then over on the hill, she has 2 Spear Chuckas with Orc Bullies, and a Snotling Pump Wagon at the far end. Alright, on the Ogre's side, on the left you have a single Saber Tusk. In front of that is a unit of 4 Saber Tusks with my Hunter Vaprak the Far Wanderer. Only gear he has on him is a Great Weapon and the Gut Maw. Behind that is a unit of 3 Yetis. Then you see a unit of 10 Noblar Trappers with full command. Behind them is a giant. Next to that is a unit of 4 Iron Guts with full command and the Dragonhide banner. In them is Chog the Toothy, my general, level 4 Slaughtermaster with the Hellheart. Then Gat the Old, my battle standard bearer with the Armor of Destiny. And Ungoro Flamebelch, a level 2 or level 1 Firebelly with the Talisman of Endurance and the Power Stone, which I forgot to remember to use the entire night. In the very back there is a Noblar Scrap Launcher. Then you have, right behind each other, 2 10-man units of Noblar Trappers with full command in both units. Then you have 2 more Noblar Trapper 10-mans with full command, and another Saber Tusk on the end. And I have a Thunder Tusk in the back. Now I know for those of you who are really paying attention, you'll note that I have 1 more Ogre than I really could theoretically have. If I had done a Stonehorn, I'd have 1 less Ogre, but I think the Stonehorn's a little bit better than the Thunder Tusk, so this, to my mind, was a little bit more of a what the F choice, which is more in line with what we were doing. And then I had a Gorger over here on the far end waiting to come in, so that's just him sitting in the green room. So Ogres got the first turn, and I managed to succeed a long bomb charge with the Hunter and the Saber Tusks into Gatilla and his boys. Um, Maybe she should have fled here, but she decided to stand and shoot instead, and ended up doing a single wound to one of the cats before they hit. And she did pass their leadership check to avoid the terror that the gut maw causes from the hunter. Here, I think this is a pretty good matchup. Even if her wolf riders kill the saber tusks, uh, that hunter is going to put a hurting on them. And my plan is to have the hunter kill Gatilla because he gives some upgrades to the unit. So that could be a pretty good fight there. And with her low leadership, I'm kind of expecting to do enough to break it. And over here, you see on the far flank, I just keep going up. I move the Saber Tusk up the side so that once the Mangler gets triggered, I can just throw the Saber Tusk on it like a landmine and blow them up. Bring the Yetis up to support, Noblars and the Giants up. And that big stone thing in the middle is actually an Elven Waystone, so I'm keeping my mages there so I can get the bonus of that channeling and maybe get some magic up. And on the right side, you see everything just comes up. I know with this army, I just need to get those Noblars like blocking lines of sight and making her have to charge them, and just hoping that I can do some damage in shooting, particularly on that big Savage Orc unit, or I don't really have an answer to it because it's this strange army build. And over here, I've got this one lone saber tusk headed for the Snotling pump wagon. Again, I'm not super afraid of it, but the thing can come in and hit with some impact hits, and could definitely be one of those things in this kind of game that can change how things work. So I don't want any little tipping point coming in. So I'm thinking I can go ahead and handle that with the saber tusk. So shooting was a wash, magic was a wash, and we go into combat, and pretty much as expected, I did some damage to that unit. I killed Gatilla, and didn't slaughter him to a man, so they fled. And I followed and failed to get them by an inch, which sucks because now I'm right in line for that Mangler squig to come and sit on my head. Which, start of Orc and Goblin turn 2, that's exactly what she does. She ends up running the Mangler squig over him, and actually didn't do great. The Mangler squig killed the other cats that were left, and only inflicted 1 wound out of 4 on my hunter. But luckily he's leadership 9, and so he didn't break from losing his pets. And here you see her squig hoppers just bounce up a pretty good range. I'm just going to let them come to me because those Noblars aren't going to do crap in combat. Over here, the Snotling pump wagon comes straight towards the cat. And you notice the cat has a wound on it now. That's because this is a sinister statue that's right next to it. And at the start of her turn, it got blasted for a single wound. And then over here, the Wolf Riders did not rally, so they stopped literally 2 millimeters from the edge of the board here, which is not good because my turn's next, and I'm just going to run them off the board with the Hunter. Although, in hindsight, that might have been a mistake that made the Hunter waste too much time. But yeah, they're not going to be an issue anymore. And on the left, she starts sneaking the Night Goblins forward. And she also does so on the right. Now, the trolls, she rolled for the leadership for the stupidity on the trolls before her general moved, but they failed it and stumbled forward just an inch, which is pretty much all they're going to do the whole game. And this is the reason why my wife has such a passionate hatred for the trolls. She can never seem to roll a stupidity check for them, so they just waste space. Then over here, the goblins try and lead the way. Now, I think the main reason for this is that my wife hasn't had a chance to use her nasty skulks yet, that she painted up like Batman and Robin. Um, so she wanted to throw them up forward and get into a fight and see what they can do. So I definitely have to applaud her aggressive goblin tendencies in this particular option. And then up here you see the Savage Orc Horde and the the Squig Herd start moving up behind the goblins as well. She didn't want to move anything up too bad because she wants to give good lanes for the fanatics once I start moving up, so she can release them and hopefully do just a stupid amount of damage. And during her magic phase, she ends up getting Curse of the Bad Moon off irresistibly, and it blasts through. She was trying to do some damage to my giant, so she blasts through the Noblars, and it kills just a crazy number of them. I think there's 4 left, but they hold. And ends up going through the giant, but it was a strength test this turn, and he survived it without any real problem, so the vortex is behind them there. So shooting was pretty much nothing because the Doom Diver just was not showing up. So we go into Ogre turn 3. Ogre turn 2. Yes, I'm sorry. This game was going very, very slow. But the Hunter chases the last of the Wolf Riders off the board, which was pretty much what I expected. Over here, the cat throws itself on the Mangler Squig like a soldier on a hand grenade. And a big fistful of dice later, and both of them are vaporized. But my wife demanded that she show the victorious picture of the Mangler Squig surrounded by all his dice, so I had to comply. And of course on the left, I throw that now depleted unit of Noblars forward enough to trigger the Fanatics. 2 Fanatics stop short, the other one blows right through them and manages to kill 3 of the 4 remaining Noblars. And because my general's so close, the 1 remaining Noblar does not break and is standing there like an absolute and total badass, or at least as close as Noblars can achieve. My Gorger came on the board in the back to threaten the Doom Diver. Now, this was me getting greedy, and you'll see in just a second why that was stupid. But I probably should have come up on the hill behind the Spear Chuckas. It would have given me some cover, and I could have gotten a turn of getting into those guys before what's about to happen happens. So I moved the Noblars up on the other side to trigger the Fanatics from this unit, not realizing that the Fanatics can come out in at any point. So you see that nice smooth line back there between the Doom Diver and the Savage Orcs? Yeah, she shot Fanatics out through that, and 2 of the 3 Fanatics killed the Gorger, and 1 ends up dangerously close to the Doom Diver. My Noblars in the center here just move up. Since I can't really stop the hoppers, my plan is to just have them bounce into as many dangerous terrain tests from these Noblars as possible, and hope that I can thin them down, because the Noblars aren't going to really be able to take... Even if they can take the hoppers, they're not going to be able to handle that general, so I'm hoping just for good dice rolls. And because I'm stupid, I decide to go ahead and throw the Yetis on top of the Fanatic here so that they don't go for my Giant. Giant's more points. I figure the Yetis might take a few hits, but they land on it. She rolls 6 wounds with that Fanatic and kills 2 of the Yetis, but the Yeti stays. But they're pretty much non-combat units at this point. And then over here, you see, with the Giant, I did what I should have done. Moved him into the forest. So that lets him get a chance to get into combat next turn, and protects me from the fanatics, because up until I did this move and my wife mentioned it, I forgot that the fanatics die if they touch any terrain features. So yeah, I feel pretty stupid about throwing away 2 Yetis to protect the giant when he really didn't need it. So we go into bottom or top of 3, or no, sorry, bottom of 2. Good God, this game's going slow. Um, and the goblins there charge the giant. Not entirely sure why. I think she just wanted to hold him up and to sort of choose when the giant got to come in. So that wasn't terrible. And she wants to throw nasty skulks at him. And here the hoppers bounce into the first unit of the Noblars. I end up killing one of the hoppers with dangerous terrain, and actually would have put in a wound on the general as well, but she managed to succeed his 4-up ward save. And over here you see where the Snotling Pump Wagon is coming full steam to try and put some wounds on the Thunder Tusk, and ended up just a few inches short, which was really a shame, because she needs to do something about that Thunder Tusk, because it's on fire. It's been hitting direct hits on the Savage Orcs, although it's only been killing one at a time for the 2 turns so far. She needs to go ahead and put it down ASAP. So one of the fanatics ends up just doing a perfect shot, misses the Yeti, and comes straight down the side of my ogres, but does not roll very well and only inflicts 1 wound on the Iron Gut unit itself. And here you pretty much see everything else kind of moving out of the way so that that big old brick of Savage Orcs can break through and start coming to deliver the pain. So magic was a wash. Shooting took out a few of these Noblars up front, but close combat, the hoppers just blast through that first Noblar unit. But they do take a few more wounds, so it's down to 1 normal hopper and her general that overruns and slams into the second Noblar unit. And I don't think anyone took dangerous terrain or lost anyone to dangerous terrain at that point. So, combat over here, the goblins actually managed to inflict 2 wounds on the giant, which I was pretty impressed with. But, I mean, he jumped up and down on them and thunder stomped, and there was just too much damage for them to overcome, so I ran them down, and they died. Okay, so top of Ogre turn 3, my giant charges her BSB's unit, and he flees, ends up kind of where you see him there. I redirect into the flank of the Savage Orcs and failed it. So, Giant's way out here in the middle, flank all sorts of exposed to that herd unit, and he's in trouble, because that herd unit will put a hurt on that Giant. Over here, my Hunter finally turns around and comes over into the Weirding Well here, ready to slam into those herders next turn after they jump my giant. I did manage to use the Weirding Well here and heal the 1 wound that he had on him away, so he'll be fully powered when he's ready to come in and unleash the beast on the back of their heads. And over here, I just move up that 1 Noblar, so that if the Savage Orcs want to come this way, they're going to have to hit him first and take dangerous terrain tests. And then I moved the Ogres up to support, in part just to get them the heck away from the Fanatics that are still over there. Because I think there's still 1 or 2 Fanatics whirling around in the backfield that I would very much not like to offer free Ogre points to. And over here, I move up these 2 Noblar units. I pretty much just wanted to get them within throwing stuff range of his Night Goblin unit, figuring maybe I can thin him down a little bit. It also restricts the movements of the Horde, because now if they go this way too, they're going to have to hit the front end of 1 Noblar unit. And again, my hope here is to just take that big Horde down with dangerous terrain tests. And over here, I just turn a little bit so that I can still try and bomb stuff on his war machines with the Thunder Tusk, and that I'll be in the front when his pump wagon comes in. Now, you can't see it because the die's on the other side, but the pump wagon last turn, or maybe it was started this turn, was hit by this sinister statue and put 2 of its 3 wounds on it already. So it's kind of hurting. And during my shooting phase, I end up using the chainsaw trap on the guy from the top of the Stonehorn and end up killing it. So that pretty much means at this point the right flank is mine because he doesn't have anything other than his war machines over there. And those poor trolls are never going to succeed a leadership check on their leadership 4. So they're really just not even an issue. They're going to go play in the water for the next little bit. So we go over here, and my groin biter actually challenges out his general, or her general. So I only lose 1 goblin, or 1 Noblar here, and it's the champion. So I don't do anything back, but it's enough so that I don't break and flee because I'm steadfast. So that's where the Noblars end up. So he's going to have to chew through them for at least another turn before he can get to the scrap launcher. So, oh yeah, okay, so start of Orc and Goblin turn 2. So my wife throws her Savage Orcs into that little Noblar. He stands and shoots, does nothing, but when she hits, she ends up losing, it was either 5 or 6 Savage Orcs to dangerous terrain tests, which was just absolutely terrifying. And then and I guess I didn't show this on my turn, but I moved up the Yeti to block the Squig herd, and they end up slamming into him on the start of this turn. Okay, so during her shooting phase, she manages to take out 2 more Noblars, mainly because her Doom Diver's not working for crap, which is pretty unusual. My wife usually has pretty good luck with the Doom Diver, and the Spear Chuckers just aren't hitting anything, so we're basically just relying on the short bows from the Night Goblins to do the damage she needs. So we go into combat here, and Squig Herd just absolutely demolishes the 1 Yeti there. I think it's, 2 Squigs off the back that end up dying to it. But, yeah, I guess this was just kind of a needless throwaway, because they're going to overrun and slam into the flank of that giant regardless. So I guess all I really accomplished here was to give her the points for the Yetis, too. And here's where you see they slam in. You also see, obviously, that the Savage Orcs did not hesitate from killing the 1 Noblar. And so they've slammed in. So this is what the combat will look like next turn, because there really wasn't much room to wield. So she's only got about 2 ranks of the Savage Orcs touching anything in this combat. The next combat that'll come with the Giants. And over here, finally, without a groin biter to challenge her out, the general just goes to work and ends up, I think she killed all but, yeah, because that's what it is, the front rank, she killed all but 1 of the Noblars. He turned and ran. She caught him and slammed right into the front of the Noblar scrap launcher. So, yeah, it's in a bad way, too. So, top of Ogre 4, my Iron Guts slam into the Savage Orcs, my Hunter slams into the back of the Squig Herd, and, I don't know, this is kind of a toss-up. I need something good to go my way. Strangely enough, kind of what I need to have happen is I need the Giant to die so it breaks up the 2 combats into 2 different ones. And over here, during my normal movement, I move up the Thunder Tusk as close as I can to the Savage Orcs so that its Always Strikes Last aura will affect as many of them as possible, because it's number of models within 6 inches, not units. So I end up getting about half of the Savage Orc horde striking at Always Strikes Last, as does all my Ogres. So that's pretty good. It means I'll get more attacks on them than I otherwise could have. Now, Magic. This is the first phase of Magic that went my way, and it went my way big. I managed to get both Bubbled Troll Guts and Bubbled Bull Gorger off on this whole combat. So everything in the combat is +1 strength and has a 4-up regen. So now we've taken a fight that I was kind of unsure of, and now it's pretty heavily in my favor. And I don't know what this picture is from, but this might just be showing her rallying? No, that wouldn't be on my turn. Oh, no, I know what this is. She ended up trying to Doom Diver. Or no, yeah, her. Why would she Doom Diver on my turn? Oh no, I scrap launched right on top of her bunker and took out half of them. Okay, I'm sorry, that was strange. So over here, basically what happened was what I needed to happen. The giant got killed, so now the fight is split up into two separate fights. The squigs just opened a can on him. Um, and my hunter, however, now that we're dealing with this as two fights, managed to kill the rest of the handlers and break the squig. So they're going to explode and do just a bunch of damage. The squig explosion did 2 damage to my unit, 1 damage to my general, and that sort of thing. So the fight goes on here in the center, and my ogres are depleted, but I killed 4 or 5 of the savage orcs. Savage orcs still win, but I have a leadership. I think it came out I was down by 1 and still won it on the reroll. So, fight in the back here. Her general obviously beats up on the Stonehorn, or not the Stonehorn, the Gnoblar Scrap Launcher, and sends him running. Because that was an overrun that led into it, she couldn't pursue, but she's in the space where if she wants to, she can come get him on her next turn with very, very little issue. And start of Orc and Goblin 4, that's exactly what she does. She bounces directly on the scrap launcher and then turns around and faces the rest of the combat. Which I guess I'm okay with, because, yeah, the scrap launcher was points, but now her general is way out of everything's whack, so he can't really do much of anything. So she then lands a Doom Diver Bolt or I don't know what you call him, a Doom Diver Goblin maybe, right on the head of the Thunder Tusk, but only inflicts 2 wounds on him, which was a real shame because, as you can see, after winning the last combat, she reformed into a bus, so now all of those savage orcs are being affected by the Always Strikes Last aura. Over here, I guess this was done out of order, she charged her Night Goblin unit with the BSB into the side of my hunter, mainly to keep him out of the flank of her savages. So that was a pretty good call. She challenged me out, so you can see I did 1 kill and 2 overkill, but the goblins stuck. And then over here, in the main combat, she managed to kill... I've got nothing but characters now. She's killed the whole unit, but I did enough wounds to break the savages, and she only needed to... She was at a leadership -1, so she was at a... I think it was a 6 rerollable, because I've killed the caster already, and she failed it. So then on my turn 5, the Gnoblar's charge ends up putting her against the edge of the board. Then the Ogre's charge, and she runs off the board. So with nothing left except a few scattered goblin units and some permanently stupid trolls, my wife decided to go ahead and surrender the game at this point. So here is just a picture of what the board looks like. As you can see, she had very little left that was going to be able to put a hurting on what I had, so it was probably a good call. And by this point, the game had been going on for a long time, so she was tired. So that's it. The one thing I did note is I still didn't manage to kill her freaking general, who's hopping around back there like crazy. But so that's what it is. And we have a victory for the Ogre Kingdoms. Now, the one thing I'll say two things to preface this. One, it's been about 6 months since my wife has even cracked open her army book. So, given the fact that she made this army in like 20 minutes without any real forethought, I thought she did very, very well. Um, it really came down to just a few crucial roles that could have gone one way or the other. And she could have very easily turned the tables on me. So I was very pleased, and I was always happy to get a chance to play with her. Um, I'm not entirely sure why, but my wife doesn't really much care for the game side of this hobby. She really likes painting, really likes making her models look awesome, but I think she'd rather have a root canal than actually sit down to play a game most nights. So um, it was awesome to get to play with her, and because she does such a good job with her painting and her modeling, um, it's really a pleasure to see her army arrayed out on the other side of the table. So that was a pleasure. As far as my list, this was just a kooky list. The Noblars, I definitely like the Noblars, but there is so much, or there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and that this was it. It was kind of fun. Immediately after this, because it was late, I ended up taking on a dwarf player who decided just to bury me in Slayers. So with his silly list. So yeah, Noblars just die very quickly to Slayers. They die very quickly to much of anything, but at least here, I think the biggest thing that they did was take out those six Savage Orcs during the one charge, because I think the fights were close enough where that was just enough to swing it one way or the other. Um, but it was a fun night, and just some what the fuck lists. Unfortunately, with the how long the first game took, we didn't get to see the Bretonia player's what the fuck list. Is he ended up making a 2,500 point Bretonia list with 4 horses in it. Or 5 horses in it. It was something stupid. He had minimum number of knights and then was just wave after wave of peasants and stuff. So we're definitely going to have to do another one of these what the fuck nights. Because it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get so tired of just like coming in and playing your best just to with the best uh, models and stuff. So it's kind of cool to just take whatever garbage you happen to throw down in some strange setup and just see how well you can do with it. I think it's definitely a test of our generalship, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So, all in all, it was a good game. It was glad to see the wife bust out the miniatures again, and hopefully it won't be another 6 months before I can convince her to do it again. So, um, and it's my first battle report with Orcs and Goblins, so definitely a good note there. So if you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you guys have any comments, questions, thoughts for kooky lists, for any of the armies you see me play, definitely put them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to give them a try, because I definitely have had fun doing these strange lists. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll go ahead and catch you next time.